All right. It is Wednesday. It's 4:30 p.m. Central Time. That means office hours are in the academy. Here on the academy. Hey, Andrew, how are things?
Oh, not too bad. Just getting back home early this morning from a much needed short vacation, and happy to see it come back to. I was out in Las Vegas, so went from 100 degrees to cloudy and rainy. But I'm doing all right. How about yourself? You hanging in there this week?
Hanging in there. Wish I had
Good.
been to Vegas though, but no. Um,
Well, we can always plan something.
no, I'm happy. Got away for a bit. Well
Yeah.
deserved. Well deserved.
Thank you.
So, even though you were on vacation for a couple of days, did you stumble across something new, shiny, newsworthy?
Of course, it turned out everybody else kept working, so I do have a couple of things that I wanted to share. If you want to share my screen,
Yeah, I should be able to. There we are.
oh, that looks like my screen.
Yes.
Um, so first thing, what's new in Intune for 2025? Microsoft did a blog post on this on the Intune blog. The actual official what's new documentation hasn't been updated yet because 2505 started rolling out in APAC just yesterday, so it'll probably be a day or two before we see those. But anyways, some quick updates on what's being added with 2505. Multiple administrator approvals is now going to support remote actions, which if you're using multiple administrator approvals in your tenant, very useful. If you go to perform like a wipe or something like that, you can configure that now so that at least two people need to approve that before the action moves forward. So that was a big deal. Some remote help updates for Android as well as Linux server updates. But the one that I did really want to point out is that Android, iOS, and Mac OS device inventory is being released with 2505. So we had device hardware inventory on the Windows side of things for a little bit. Let's see, does this blog post remind me of the date? Yeah, late last year that we got it, and at the time they did announce that it was going to be released for the other devices as well. So happy to see that that's going to be released. As you can see here, we're going to get 74 properties on the Apple side of things and 32 on the Android side of things. So very useful. Though these are some of this is restricted to advanced analytics. Happy to see that hardware inventory is gaining traction there. And we're seeing improvements. A couple of other things that I came across. Steve Weiner over at the GETRUBIX YouTube channel did a podcast with one of our friends, an MVP in the community, Haley Phillips. That was just released earlier today, so that's going to be on my list for later today to check this out. Two very smart people, so I'm excited to hear what they had to talk about. And in that same vein, Fabian Rodriguez, who works over at Recast, has started a podcast called Diary of a SysAdmin, and he has already had some fantastic guests on his show. So Matt Zaski, Brian Dam, David Segura, Mike Terrell, Dean Ellerby, Steve Jessic, Haley Phillips. It's already within a month. Fabian's got some fantastic folks on that podcast. So I did want to shout out his podcast. I recommend checking out some of these interviews where they're kind of just talking about, their experiences, how they got to where they're at, how they started out, and things like that. And actually, it looks like Haley was on his podcast just yesterday. So some really great stuff here. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But these are fun, conversations. I like to hear how different. I mean, Johan, you're no stranger to being guests on these kinds of things, and it's always interesting to see how the perspective that the different interviewers take with these folks. So it's great stuff. Happy to see this happening in the community as well.
Yeah, absolutely awesome.
So yeah, that's what I had for today.
All right, then. I have just a couple of things here, but let me go ahead and steal the screen.
All right.
First of all, if anyone wants to know how many submodules there are in the Microsoft Graph module, it's 39 of them. But who's counting? Apparently I was.
It's quite a few.
Yeah. Now, that was not the reason I switched screen. I just happened to have that one open since earlier. I figured it was fun to share. Anywho, last week, David James did a little survey. I consider it a trick survey because one of these are not applicable. Good luck in using autopilot to image anything. It's just an enrollment technique. But it turns out to very few people surprised that the ConfigMgr one is still a winning platform. But well, we'll see if other picks up here as MDT slowly fades away. Good stuff there. Then John Towles, one of the organizers, or I would like to say the founder of Workplace Ninja here in the US, he wrote a post about troubleshooting customization, where you use Intune to do basically personalizations of either kiosk machines or just Windows in general. So it was a good read, good troubleshooting tips, things you can look out for. So it was a good blog post to stumble across. So wanted to share it.
Awesome. Very good stuff.
Thank you, sir. So that was all I had in like ready-made news. I am working on a blog post that I'm hoping I can finish tonight, because otherwise I think I'll get yelled at if I don't, put it that way. I have been using a copy log script forever in my sequences, and I wanted to improve it to the level of what the old MDT scripts used to be. So that's what I've been working on. So I basically borrowed. I can show what I was up to, what I am up to. So here I have a ConfigMgr environment, and some of my production demo sequences that I usually show in our trainings or work within our trainings. They have this concept of catching, like I have these set of things that I want to happen. That's my goal. But if any of them fail, I wanted to jump into the so sad section, basically a failure section that I have. Or even if it succeeds, I want to do certain tasks. And one of those tasks is indeed to copy logs up to either a file share or a bits upload if you're using IIS to accept log files. In general, more effective if you have a lot of them, but a file share would do just fine. So this script is something that I borrowed from Johan over at OneWin. I think Jürgen has been involved in some extent in this one also. But if I go to that package, let me see. I have that one here. Forgot what folder I put it in, so I'm going to do it this way, and I'm going to find the folder that way. So this is a modification I did of Johan's script, and basically accepts a few parameters, where to connect username and password from a variable in the sequence, and then it starts to upload files to put it in an archive and upload it. So I'm combining this together with the PowerShell equivalent of the utility module in good old MDT. This has been around for quite some time. So there's a utility script in MDT that has a logs area where there are basically lists and lists of lists of additional logs that are useful for troubleshooting imaging, not just the SMSTS log file. So that's what I'm working on. I hope I'm getting it published tonight, and we'll see. We'll see.
Very cool. Looking forward to it.
All right. Now, the question is, do we have any questions?
We do, and before I get to them, though, are you not seeing them show up in the chat in Restream?
That is correct. I do not see
Okay.
them showing up in the chat in Restream.
All right, so I've got YouTube up, and I don't see any on Twitter, but I've not gotten to LinkedIn yet. But all that said, I wanted to make sure it wasn't just my side. So, yes, we do have some folks joining us over on YouTube for sure. I see some hellos and some nice comments here from Jordan, from Zach, and Mike O'Leary joining us here today. So, hello, guys. Happy to see you here. Familiar faces for sure. And then we do have some questions here. So the first one we have is from Matthew. What log files should I check to troubleshoot application installs during OSD? So one thing, more broadly, when we get questions about SCCM logs, let me find this page here. There is a fantastic documentation page that Microsoft maintains that shows exactly what types of logs are available for each thing that you want to troubleshoot. So, Johan, do you want to pop over to my screen for a moment and I can just show what application logs are available?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So this is the documentation here. I'll make sure this link gets added to our links for this evening. So later on, sometime tomorrow, you'll see this available on our YouTube live stream link in the description. And you could tell that I'm still recovering from vacation. I got home very late. Anyways, if you scroll down here, you'll see sort of a table of contents and log files by functionality. So you can click on application management in this instance, and basically you'll see all of the application logs that are available. So generally on the client side, these are the top four that I'm going to be looking at. And then I also see there is a follow-up question from Matthew. What log file should I check for troubleshooting the ConfigMgr Client install during OSD? And so that is probably going to come through right here, the CCM setup log. And you can see that this is also showing up under the client installation reference. So this will be my starting point. Anytime you have any questions about ConfigMgr logs, I often start right here. Any specific logs you'd like to call out, Johan, or just the general app logs and ConfigMgr Client logs in terms of app installs and ConfigMgr Client installs specifically during OSD?
Well, I mean, it's barely a couple of hundred to memorize, 300-400. You'll do that quickly. And the trick is really not so much memorizing 400 log files. The trick is knowing when they're used. Like when you do X in the console, which 3, 4, 5 log files are applicable in what order, and that simple. That just takes time to learn. I like to say it takes almost a year to get really good at troubleshooting config manager. Mm-hmm. But I mean, memorizing them would be a good start, but you have to know when they're used. Otherwise, you are looking at the wrong stuff in the wrong place. Sorry for being a little confused. I was trying to chat with the Restream support at the same time regarding the chat missing, and I'm good at multitask, but not that good.
No, it's all good. I've got I've at least got Twitter and YouTube up, so I think we're okay. I know we have some. I'll pull up LinkedIn here too in a moment because I know we do get some questions over on LinkedIn as well. So if I can get that up, I think we're okay, Johan. We can worry about Restream later.
That sounds like a plan.
All right. So got another question here. Have you experienced devices no longer installing cumulative updates with Windows Update for Business or Autopatch when there are no E5 licensed users logging into the devices for extended period of time? I can't say that I've personally run across that. Not to say that that doesn't happen, but I have not seen that.
Repeat the question again.
Have you experienced devices no longer installing cumulative updates with Windows Update for Business or Autopatch when there are no E5 licensed users logging on to the devices for extended periods of time?
No. No, I can't say I have.
Same. And I am seeing... oh, there we go. I got LinkedIn up. I am seeing comments and stuff coming through on Restream now.
Yeah, me too.
At least from YouTube. So I'll catch up over here in YouTube itself, and then it looks like we're good. All right. Little technical difficulties today. That happens from time to time. It's the beauty of a live show, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So Jordan's asking, if I purchase a singular Intune device SKU to test on our tenant, will this apply Intune to all devices or a random one? I understand that you need to have the correct amount licensed, but we want to test. So I've not actually used any of the device-specific SKUs. All of mine have been user-based SKUs. All of my experience has been with user-based SKUs. Have you used the device SKUs at all, Johan?
No, I have not. I mean, I know they exist. I just haven't.
Yeah. I'm wondering. I might send a message to find out when those are actually made available, because typically what you'll find is that the licenses, the Intune licenses, are always covered through, at least in my experience, through a suite that an organization has purchased, whether that's an M365, E3, A3, A5, E5, or an EMS license, or Intune standalone.
I bet you can buy an Intune only. I just have never seen it being done.
Yeah. So I would, and of course, when it does come to licensing too, Jordan, definitely just recommend reaching out to, if you have a Microsoft account rep or somebody, even a reseller that specializes in Microsoft licensing, definitely reach out to them. And I would say that even if we did know the answer, because as you probably know, Microsoft licensing can get fairly complicated. So it's always best to get a strict answer from somebody that specializes in licensing.
Yeah.
And I like to think that Johan and I are good at one or two things, but licensing is, I don't know, it's not at the top of the list of things that I love doing and mastering.
I mean, you can show there on the Linux page that we've been showcasing a couple of times.
Yeah. Great idea. 1 second. Here, I just want to make sure that I wrote that down. So M365 Maps. Surprised it's not on there. So yeah, this page, a fantastic resource for getting some of these questions answered. Show you all the licenses that are available in the various suites. So for example, if we were to click on EMS E3 here, you can see exactly what's available in that suite. So EMS E3 would include Entra ID Plan 1. It would also include Intune Plan 1, and it would include these other add-ons right here. Similarly, if we go through and look at, E1, so Jordan mentioned that they're transitioning a large chunk of their staff to E1, but still want to be able to use Autopatch. So you can look at E1 here, and here are all the licenses available in that E1 suite. And of course, you'll find that Intune won't be in there. So there's going to be some level of purchasing an add-on or something along those lines. I'm just not, like Johan said too, I'm just not sure about just the individual Intune licenses. I think everything that I can think of licensing-wise has been done through one of the suites. It's a great question.
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. I'm just logging into my admin site right now and see if there is an option to just purchase additional Intune only licenses, but it's still Autopatch will require the E3 anyway, right? There is a requirement of that one too. It's not going to help.
Yeah, true. Yeah, because you'll have let's see. Yep. That's a great point. So even alongside that E1, you would still at least need one of these Windows 10 and 11 subscription licenses for the devices that are going to be updating with Autopatch. And so, yes, I guess to answer that question, Jordan, if you've got Intune device license aside, if you wanted to test Autopatch, you would need properly licensed Windows licenses as well, and they happen to be the subscription licenses.
Well, let me share my screen. I got the licenses up.
Okay.
So keep that one in mind that Andrew is showing, and then try to memorize this one also. But there is, I just haven't done it, but there is indeed an Intune Plan 1 option. But then you would have that Windows 10 E3, also Windows 10/11 that Andrew showed.
Right.
And I wonder if it wouldn't be cheaper just to go with an E3, like the normal suite license then. I don't know. I think this is what we can provide at the moment.
Yeah.
Talk to a license specialist. We can show how to implement it. I'm just not the greatest on licenses.
Yeah.
Nobody is, I think, but not me.
No, it's a tough one. All right. Matthew is asking, what is the best way to install a certificate? I'm trying to use an application install but having trouble with the detection rule part. The certificate has to be installed before the application, which is CrowdStrike, since the system will not have internet access at that point.
Is this one that is showing up on YouTube?
Yes. Before the chat started working.
All right.
So, and if I remember correctly, Matthew's using ConfigMgr.
Sounds about right, yes.
Yeah. Do you want me to repeat the question?
Yeah.
What is the best way to install a certificate? I'm trying to use an application install, but having trouble with the detection rule part. The certificate has to be installed before the application, which is CrowdStrike, since the system will not have internet access at this point.
That would be a PowerShell script to look through the certificate store for that specific certificate and have that as a happiness code. Wonder if I have something I can show. Was arguing with some search for scripts earlier. Not that one. This one. Basically, this one-liner here looks for a specific certificate. So obviously, if I set this as a variable, and if what is copy paste not work? Yay. So if I run this, in theory, you should say yay if that exists. So if you build a detection script that make a success code, compliance code for this one, you should be able to detect that cert is installed. I guess you can use it as a dependency also. Have one app that just checks for this, and then if it does, go ahead and install whatever. Was it CrowdStrike?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Or just wrap it up into a wrapper script to do everything in one go. Basically abort if it doesn't exist.
Yeah. I think I'm going to start having all of my scripts just output yay when it does the right thing. I like that.
Yeah, detection scripts, they also like an exit code typically, especially if it happened to be Intune. ConfigMgr is more forgiving. So Intune likes an output and an exit code. So
Too funny.
So maybe this one, exit 0.
Yeah, there you go.
Exit 1. Something like that. I'm not going to win any scripting award for this one, I think. But hey, all right. Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And if it works, it works.
Yeah. Maybe throw in some logging into the mix. All right. I'm going to save that one before I mess it up.
All right. So we just had another question come in here. Are account lockout duration and number of allowed bad logons configured in Intune or in Entra? So on the Entra side of things, you can configure that on any, how do I put this? The Entra configuration would configure any authentications to Entra. And then any configuration that you do on the Intune side, I think, and correct me if you think this is wrong, Johan, but any configuration on the Intune side would just be for local accounts, basically. And so let me see if I can find that on the Entra side. Password. Yes. If you want to pop over to my screen for a moment, Johan.
Yes, sir.
Here's an example of password protection on the Entra side of things. So I can configure the lockout threshold and the duration and some other custom things here. And so this would be for any user authentication into Entra itself. Now, Entra also goes a bit above and beyond that. This sort of automatically extends. So here, if you pop over the information bubble, you can see if an account gets locked repeatedly, this duration increases in the background, but this would be the initial lockout duration. And then again, yeah, on the Intune side, any of that configuration would be for local accounts, similar to like a group policy.
All right. Awesome.
Cool. All right. I see Matt's joining us. Hey, Matt. Good to see you here, as always. Yes, that happens. So just a follow-up comment to this password question. Good to know my role did not allow me to look in Entra. Yep, that happens.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, this one's interesting. There's not a lot that you can configure on the Entra side of things. There's so much of it that's just taken care of automatically in the background by Microsoft, and not all of it is documented either. I think that's on purpose. Like, we can't, the custom banned password list. Well, this is a custom banned password list, but Microsoft also uses a banned password list or multiple, and they're not something that's publicly available. Just from a security perspective, that's they keep that close. Same with the account lockout duration. Yes, it's 60 seconds that I have configured here at least. But then, as I said, it just sort of builds upon that, and you don't really know how long it's ultimately locked out for if it gets locked out a bunch of times.
So I should change my summer 2024 password then.
Yeah, to summer 2025.
Of course. It's coming.
Exactly. The cool thing about the custom banned password list here, though, like if I was in our tenant and I added summer in here to the custom banned password list, you couldn't use summer 2025 anymore. So we do have some flexibility there, at least.
All right.
I can prevent Johan from using summer in his passwords.
I like summer though. It's nice.
Hey, that's fair. I do too. Although we haven't really experienced it yet. Maybe 1 or 2 days.
Indeed.
All right. Matt's asking, can you please refresh my memory if there's a way in Graph to find all BitLocker attribute CreateDateTime, not for a single device, but for all devices? Can easily find it for one, but trying to get an idea how to do more.
Good. Let's see what I have.
Yeah, I think while you look for something there, I think my best guess would be simply grabbing the list of devices and then looping through in order to retrieve the key.
Getting the BitLocker key I have.
Yep. So that... I posted something last July after the CrowdStrike incident, so we do have that single PowerShell commandlet to do that.
Yeah, so instead of putting a filter for device name, you just skip the filter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be the easiest way. Yeah. No need to complicate it with a loop.
Or do a filter on something else, like is it Windows or depending on what devices you have in the platform.
Yep.
I think it's going to be hard to find a BitLocker CreateTime attribute on an Android. I don't think it will show up as a managed device either. Perhaps it will. I don't remember.
Yep. So this should get you part of the way there, Matt. Along with the filtering ideas Johan just mentioned. All right. Hey, that's exciting. I see a comment here from Dan, who's regularly joining us as well. Finally getting Entra auth set up for our IT group, and the whole organization next month can finally get AutoPilot off the ground. It's exciting.
Yay. Oh, good news.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun project for you. All right.
Any other questions out there?
Matt just had a follow up. Is this under information protection? Are you referring to the PowerShell module itself, Matt, or? Let's see. That commandlet is. Let's see if I'm going to show up here. Under the Microsoft.graph.identity module. So you'll need both the device management module and the identity module loaded for this particular use case.
Probably authentication too, right?
Yes, always. Good call. All right. Any other questions? Oh, awesome. Dan just had another follow-up with AutoPilot Plan B. They got the enrollment package and are deploying that to all IT devices next Tuesday. Big changes happening. I'll say so.
Yeah, maybe you can bring up that post just to put some reference to it.
Yep.
Can you just search for Plan B? Yep, there we have it. Yep. I blame Niehaus for inspiration for this post, but it worked out quite well to put that into a sequence and just deploy it.
Yep, definitely.
A cool thing or a fun fact around that PowerShell module is allows you to set settings on the provisioned package that is not available in Configuration Designer. Like a really long validate how to say it expiry period.
Yeah. Yeah, because what is it by default? 30 days? Something like that.
Yeah, I thought it was. I don't hold me to it.
Short. And I mean, I understand why, but if you're using this regularly, having to change that often can be a little bit of a pain.
Yeah. I think we have a troll on Twitter trying to send us strange comments also at the moment.
Yeah, that's for sure. See a reminder here from Matt that if you use autofill in the Authenticator app, Microsoft's Authenticator app, that will end in July if you are using that feature. So I just brought up this post here to kind of have a what's happening, what's changing, and what can I do. So Thanks for that call out, Matt. I'll get this added as well for today. All right, we've got a question over here on LinkedIn around Autopatch. So using Intune, using Autopatch, Windows 10 is not upgrading to Windows 11. TPM, Secure Boot, and hardware are checked. What can cause devices not upgrading to Windows 11?
A couple of things. It could be a safeguard hold on the device itself that will show up in the upgrade experience indicators together with any other blockers that Microsoft may have found showing. It could be that the device is simply not part of that audience. It doesn't figure out that it enrolled into the deployment service. We showed Brian Dam's script probably a million times by now, but I think I have it on one of my systems here. But that was the recovery script I was mentioning earlier for getting BitLocker keys. And those were the modules that were required for that one. But all right, back to, let's see. Let's check this friend. It's thinking about it. Wonder if it has an IP address. Yes, it does. All right, let me see what we have on this one. Yeah, this one here, get Intune update device info. If I run that script, first of all, it's going to install the graph module if it's not installed already. So the first time you run it, it runs for a while, to say the least. That's the one. So it's going to prompt for a name of a device that you want to look for when it runs. So I can ask it for this particular device. And behind the scenes, it looks up that device, not just in Intune and policies, it does look it up for the deployment service also. So there are some interesting information that shows up when you run this. For example, that your tenant itself happens to be enrolled in the deployment service, but if you have other devices that works, well, quite likely is. But it will also show you that the device itself is enrolled by device ID. And it will show you not just the normal update rings that you may have for the monthly patches, it will also show you if your device is part of a Intune feature update policy and which policy in that case it is. So this script is really useful for troubleshooting that kind of issues. So check the device, have some blog posts on that one. For the upgrade experience indicators, look specifically for things like the compat markers up here, if any. It will tell you the details. The summary will be in the in indicators. And if you have any safeguard holes, they will show up as gated block ID here. I don't have any on this device, but if I had, it will show there. So I will start with that one in combination with this script here. You can find this script if you are a bit creative in searching, not so much on Google, but if you go to GitHub directly and do a search, and you search for that script name, it will show you Brian Dam's script here. So we'll get that link to you in the when we post the links from the session today. But that was the script I was running to figure out if it was actually functional as if it had a fighting chance to get an update. Oh, Rudy had a post also lately. Did he do it on a Pat My PC one?
On the deployment service?
Yes. The feature update policy specifically.
Can't remember.
He did. Let's see here. Feature. Yes, here.
Oh. We found it at the same time again.
This is a great article if you haven't seen it. Because it does cover a little bit about what to do when things is not working.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Great tip. Great tip, sir. Got a question here about updating M365 apps. So have we configured update deployments for M365 apps using Intune, or is it better to manage these updates through the Microsoft 365 Apps Admin Center? I've had some trouble understanding whether the versions are being updated correctly from Intune using a configuration policy. So what would you recommend? Either way works. In fact, if you go with Autopatch, for example, what you'll find is that Autopatch creates update policies on the Intune side of things that you can then assign out. I like the M365 Apps Admin Center because it's a little bit more broad. You can kind of just set up here's how I want my clients to update anybody that's logging in to their account with your Office deployment is going to end up being onboarded into the Apps Admin Center, and you get some decent reporting out of it. But either way, really should work. Those Intune policies are fine, and the M365 Apps Admin Center is fine. I'm actually a little surprised that Apps Admin Center, unless folks are just using it and it's simple enough, they're not talking about it as much. I don't hear about it that much. Interestingly, so either way, Diego. But I happen to like the M365 Apps Admin Center. So hope that helps.
Fantastic.
All right. Matt's asking over on LinkedIn, what does a Windows client sync with Intune? Or I'm sorry, when does a Windows client sync with Intune by default? And what triggers a manual or background sync?
The short answer is it depends. There is some scheduling going on. Devices making sure to check in at least every 8 hours. However, in the technical takeoff event that we have linked to at least 5 times since it happened, you will learn that there are other events that will also trigger a sync.
Trying to find, I think this is it, the Intune Fastlane
Yes,
Let's
that
talk
is.
about all things latency.
Yes, yes. So you have it up?
I do.
All right then.
There we go,
That's the
right
one.
there.
17 minutes, well worth spent. Watch it a couple of times. There is a lot of detail in that one.
Yeah, and they talk about what they're changing too. I mean, what's on the horizon.
Yeah.
I think this was probably my favorite session out of this event, and there were some great ones.
Oh yeah. No, this is fantastic. I mean, if there is one thing we hear all the time complaints about is that slowness of things we do in Intune because folks are used to. I mean, config manager back in the days was also not quick. Back when it was called SMS, it was not quick. But today it's pretty quick. Intune is not quick, but they're trying to close that gap, which I welcome very much. I mean, we usually say this. Imagine that you have like 60 million clients on a config manager server. It will be sluggish also, most likely, if at all operational. So, very different when you need to do large scale management. They have some clever folks. I'm sure they will figure it out.
Oh yes.
Can feed it
Oh.
into Copilot, make Intune faster. Boom.
So simple.
Ah, yep.
All right. Well, we've got a whole 8 minutes left. If we've got any other questions.
Yeah, I don't see any new ones.
Zach just mentioned the uh, old. Well, you mentioned SMS, and yes, it was lovingly referred to as slow-moving software.
Yeah, I mean, we have this lovely relic from the early days. Not sure how this one comes
That's,
across, but
there you go. Is that one? Was that version 1 or 2?
this is version 1.
Okay.
No, 1.2.
Ah.
It says on the short side.
What year? Do you remember?
1.2 must be like 95 or something, 95, 96.
Only 30 years old.
Yeah, I know. Just a kid.
Awesome. Oh, we just had a question come in from Jeff over here on YouTube. Getting an error in patch_downloader.log. Is there a way that I can see which update this ID belongs to? And then there's an error code with a content and update ID.
That was a good question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if their troubleshooting flowchart have that
Uh-huh. Yeah, maybe.
or software updates. Let's see if I can find it. Because that one is pretty good. I've been referencing it a few times here on the. somewhere it's not listed in their docs if that ID is. Let's see if I can find something else. Oh yeah, there's hope.
That's good.
This is where I would start. There's basically a fairly long article showing how to track those through. The only concern is it's for. No, it should be for the current one. It's just that it references these older. And quite frankly, not much has changed since, so will not be surprising me. But it does show you how to target and finding different items through that process. And it does reference at some point here that log file also.
Okay.
So I'd start with this one, perhaps, would be the best guess.
That's a deep dive right there.
Yes, sir.
All right. And it looks like we have at least one last question here. When Microsoft documentation indicates a policy applicable OS is Windows 10 version 1607, and then the build number in brackets and later, does that indicate only patch levels?
Now, patch levels is one more digit or one more section, and so that is just the Windows version.
Mm-hmm.
So that will basically be all patch levels of that Windows version.
Mm-hmm.
You can bring the number up to the screen. Probably an LTSC version. Well, I guess it was, yeah, this was the first version. It was called LTSC. But basically this one here, this is just the Windows version.
Mm-hmm.
If you also see, 1, 2, 3, 4, that one will be the patch level.
All right. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you to everybody that is putting in the kind words here. Happy to be here this week and happy to have you all here. Love it.
Indeed. And that brings us up to the grand final here.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of seconds left. Gary was sneaking in update build record, and apparently the fancy name of it. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate that. Of course, you knew that.
Of course.
All right. All right. Thank you, everyone that joins. Thank you, Andrew. We hope to see you again next week. Have a good one.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. Have a great one.